Trying to fix my hat. So, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is Halloween. I don't know if you noticed or not, but it is. It's Halloween. You'll see a lot of little goblins and witches and ghouls out there, little skeletons, and so much more. So, there's going to be so much happening today because it is Halloween. Um, The energies are what the energies are, but we'll talk about them in uno momento. So, thank you everybody for the last 2 nights, for meeting with the ancestors. It was absolutely fabulous. Yes, I am tired, but I am quite, um, happy for just doing it. It's just I just love it. Bernie to hospital for an appointment shortly. Okay. So it was wonderful connecting with all of your ancestors and connecting with that energy of um just everyone that comes in. I mean, some of them are still lingering around today, even though I saged. Some of them totally that I wasn't expecting. I know there's still a young man who's well, he's lost, but it's amazing that he's here. Just sort of thought it was weird, but who is, and I think that has to do with Greg, and some of Greg asked about his family last night, and so some of his ancestors are sort of hanging around. They like to hang around, so I got some ancestors hanging around, um, and a few others that are sort of lingering around, and they will slowly disperse and go to the you know to the other side, I shall say. So connecting with spirit is a very beautiful thing. um, it is one that you're never you're never sure of, right? Um, once you get the hang out, yes, you're never sure about, right? Because you're relaying a message, and what I love is that I'm getting the messages, and I know some people will say, "But that doesn't make any sense," or "I don't know what you're talking about," and I'm like, "I don't know, but this is what they're saying, something about whatever it is," and that's the end, and it isn't until further on within the conversation, "Oh, I understand. I understand what you're saying. Okay, that makes sense." Um, so I have to trust. That's the main thing when you're doing this work, is that people might not understand what you're saying or don't get the message right away of what it is, but after, after maybe even after they leave, "Oh, okay, I get it." And many times when they come through too, their energies might be slightly different than what that person was witness to in their lifetime, because they had another part of themselves that they were not allowed to expose or be a part, or that part of themselves was hidden away. So that I find very, very interesting. And it's like when the information comes, I just have to trust it. Some of it times it's like, I don't know, but this is what I'm seeing, and this is what feel, and it's so meaningful to that person. So I find that very very interesting as well. In doing it, it's never a dull moment talking to spirit, and uh, connecting with those on the other side. And there's another piece that I've noticed too, um, and that I got downloads about, is where some, when it comes to the spirits or the ancestors, are on how do I explain this? They're not all on the same kind of plane kind of thing. Um, where some of us who are who we are, um who don't have a connection with our bloodline per se. They might have some, but they may not have connection with their bloodline now. I find that their family, they came in for a certain reason, and on their earth walk. So they've come in with it on for a certain reason, and their loved ones or their ancestors. um it's different. I don't know how to explain it. I know I wrote it down in my notes because it came down in a meditation where they are, and how they are going through is going to be so different than many who have been who are truly working a spiritual path is going to go to. Many, when they pass away, they're wanting to meet back with their loved ones, and it's very common and many do, but it's where with the change of energies and the change of dynamics that come through, that not when people pass and transition will not necessarily meet up with their families. They will be in a totally different spot, and I found that very interesting as well. So not everybody meets up with everybody on the other side. Just you know and that's what I have seen through my years of being a medium, and of what I'm seeing more as I'm getting older, I guess, and doing that. So today, Halloween. Halloween. Gotta love Halloween. Halloween's such a wonderful, wonderful time of the year. I used to just get so excited about Halloween and dressing up and going out trick or treating. And very when we would trick or treat, we would also have what do you call, we used to use a pillowcase, and my kids used a pillowcase, and I guess some kids use little treat bags and stuff now. My mother would just find an old pillowcase and we would use that. So a little bit of information that I got here um, with Halloween. Halloween is all Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, and Samhain, depending on how you celebrate. And this week at Visionary, we are diving into the treaty history of Halloween, from its ancient origins as a pagan's harvest festival in pre-Christian Europe, and its Middle Age Christianization to now, plus the viral Halloween PSA about sexy nuns, costumes that you don't want to miss. So Gord have mercy instead of Lord have mercy. So with the pagan past, Halloween wasn't going from door to door, and in October, which means the almost anywhere you go, you'll see signs of Halloween, from spooky decorations around the neighborhood to carved park pumpkins adorning front porches. Oh, talking about pumpkins, did anybody else get I got a through Calgary garbage collections, saying don't leave your pumpkins out overnight if you have any pumpkins on your doorstep, because of bears and wild animals. So don't leave your pumpkins out on your porch overnight, because it brings in wildlife, and bears love pumpkins. And I guess they've had a lot of bear sightings here in Calgary. Go figure, eh? So the supermarkets are just filled. This is the second largest holiday of the year, first being Christmas. Billions of dollars are made during Halloween. Those pop-up stores that are the spirit of Halloween, in the 2 months that people will buy, I guess, a franchise of it, and then they find, the location of it, and no real one here, and they will make quite a bit of money. Like they for the amount of money they pay for the franchise, because the franchise comes in, gives them all the stuff through the money that they pay, and they practically not only double, some of them quadruple and stuff, depending on the area that they set up in. So it's quite amazing when it comes to Halloween candy and celebrations. It's like crazy how much money they make just on Halloween, more so than Valentine's Day, but just under the chocolate treats that you would get for Christmas. So right now we have a culmination of October 31st. So this energy of October 31st, which is today. But why do we celebrate this holiday in the first place? And what is Halloween and how it began? And curiously enough, most people can't even answer that question. The origins of Halloween date back centuries, and it dates back to the Celts and people living in Britain and ancient Ireland prior to the spread of Christianity. It is a Celtic tradition. October 31st marks the holiday known as Samhain, celebrating the end of the harvest and the onset of dark portion of the year. That's why you're going to be finding from even now, even though we had the spring equinox, that the night is going to be becoming more intense. So we ushered was and this was ushered in with a giant feast and bonfires that burnt late into the night. Samhain also represents a time when the doors between the human world and the spirit world are very thin and they are open. This casts a fair more sinister shadow upon this holiday and autumn festival, as many believed in ghosts and witches and goblins and black cats, ooh, and demons were roaming around. Observers used this time to send messages to the supernatural and the supernatural powers, who were believed to control the levers of nature. Some cast spells in favor of specific outcomes. It was also believed to be the only day you could invoke the devil and bring him at your side. But it wasn't all sinister. So Samhain became seen as an ideal time for marriage and luck and health, even death. People also left offerings of food and drink outside for visiting spirits and fairies too. An invitation for the ghosts and the dead family members to join them in a feast table called a dumb table. And what that is that you would have a feast tonight, inviting your ancestors, and you would set your table up with placement for them. So they would have a place at the table for to sit down and feast with you. Now, the saints go marching on. And however, the complexity of October 31st changed dramatically as Western Christianity gained a foothold in the area. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as All Saints' Day. The night of October 31st then became known as All Hallows Eve. This was later shortened to Halloween, and which means saint. Hallow means saint, and holy person. Een is a contraction of eve or evening. So we have Halloween. Um, his reasons for choosing this specific date have been the subject of widespread speculation, but some scholars believe it was a direct attempt to undermine the Celtic tradition. What else would it be for, right? So, the Celtic tradition and win more people over to the Christian faith. And the Christianity became the dominant religion in the region. And so we and the Celtics observers were increasingly pushed into the shadow. Now, curiously, early Americans, many of Puritan faith, refused to recognize Halloween because it was viewed primarily as a Catholic holiday. So, in fact, it only began to gain traction in the US around the turn of the 20th century. And that's where you'll find very cool Halloween cards. And some of those Halloween cards that were printed were hand drawn and absolute beautiful art that they had, and people sending out greeting cards to their loved ones. So the large settlers of the holiday that has become highly commercialized, far from its spiritual roots. Halloween now is primarily a lighthearted affair full of fun, costumes, tasty treats, and spooky decorations. But that doesn't mean Halloween is totally devoid of meaning. There's a fascinating history around the jack-o'-lantern, for example. And some conservative Christians still, Bristol, they won't have or celebrate Halloween and conceived it's the work of the devil in action. Despite the commercialization of it all, you can make the argument that Halloween helps to bring some levity to the idea that our long gone ancestors are visiting us. And perhaps there's a value in that. However, it is also important to note that Samhain is not a dormant holiday of the past. It is still widely celebrated by pagans and Wiccans communities today. Participants view it as a serious holiday to be treated with reverence and respect. In their belief system, Samhain is solely a spiritual event, not a lighthearted affair. So, for those who have and will be celebrating Halloween this year, perhaps take a moment to recognize the deepening roots of the curious cultural traditions we have adapted. Moreover, be respectful to others you meet. You never know if they might view the day through a slightly different lens. So it's very interesting when you start to look into the history of Halloween. In um, over in Ireland, they haven't had in Dublin, they haven't had the parade for the last couple years because of lockdown. And this is the first year, and I think I posted some of the pictures that they had a huge parade and decorations and bringing asking people to come out and celebrate it and then having a big bonfire. And the bonfire was also, letting you know it's the end of the harvest, bringing things in, letting it go, and beginning the new. In the Catholic traditions, for Halloween, November 1st is a holy day of obligation. Meaning, what that means is that you are obligated to go to church. So it was a day of reverence to go to church. And it is a day where many mass cards okay, a mass card is that you would go and you would ask for a mass to be said, and and the priest would read out the names, and usually there'd be a lot of names read out on uh, All Saints Day. I couldn't even remember. Like my brain went blank, but they would read out a lot of names on All Saints Day of those have passed, and just in recognition. And it was a time of just remembering, those who've gone before you. And for myself, it is very much that way. I love to remember those who've gone before me, my ancestors. Looking into your ancestry and looking into, that connection that you have with those who've gone by. I feel it's important. It's important to understand that lineage that is there and not to have it get lost. It's important for us to really look at why we do the certain things we do. Why do we have certain traditions within our own families, with even how you might even do the things that you do and you don't even realize it, but it was handed down from a great grandmother long time ago. So these traditions, this energy of even putting out a picture, lighting a candle, sometimes putting out favorite treats for them. My mother loved chocolate ginger, you know, and she would go and she would buy a bag of chocolate ginger. She just loved it. And so having, something that your mother loved or your father loved, maybe there's something there that you might bring out. It could be a bottle of cologne, or it could be that they had a favorite song or favorite music that they would play, and just play it today, in celebration and tomorrow of those who've come before us, because they have laid a foundation for us to be here. They've laid a foundation for us to connect and be one with one another. And they also laid down a very strong spiritual connection, because our ancestors they were either, most of them were religious in some format and practiced some form of religion, whether that was Catholicism to Protestant to Lutheran to being a Puritan. So there's many different forms of celebration that our ancestors had, and that's what kept them together as a community. So Halloween is a very special time, and look up some of the information and history of it. It's quite fascinating. All the different things that people would do at this time and celebrate at this time as well. So it's quite cool. Quite cool. So, as I said, I'm a little bit tired today. And I have space for one more reading today. I have after this my day's pretty well booked, but there is space for one more if anybody wants to get a reading today. And even though I know people say, but you're tired and all this, even though I'm tired, when I go into spirit and when I'm working in this energy, I just get revived. I'll just sleep extremely well tonight. So so that's a good thing. One of the things about today is not just it's don't focus on the emotional. It is where we have the sun opposite Jupiter. There's a huge buildup right now. And we need to, I feel like because the moon is on the United States, Uranus in the natal chart, Pluto's at 27 degrees in Capricorn, which is the Pluto return for the United States. There's going to be some announcement that I think is going to be made today. And being Halloween, it's going to be something that's I feel it's like almost chilling. Something that, I don't want to use, well, yeah, it's going to be sinister feel. It's going to be a sinister kind of thing. So this is where, because the moon is in Gemini and it's squaring off over to Venus, it's kind of weird kind of energy and emotional at best. And this is where we really have to look at sort of the bigger picture that we're working on and the things that we are working on in our lives, and not get stuck on the tediness of the little things that aren't working. It's really this is where we have to look at information that's coming in, and the information might be changing all around, especially with Uranus there. And you know it's just Mercury's trying to run away from the pack. He's ahead of the group, and he's making a quincunx over to Chiron, so it might be bringing up some old wounds there, and how we feel wounded within our ego and within our own selves, because it's in Aries, and Aries is, who am I? What do I look like? How do I be? So some woundedness in there. And it's, let's just take the day and enjoy. Let's take the day and have fun. And I mean, this morning, what did I do? I started to do some stuff, but then it's like I got a text from my daughter and saying, "Oh, I need to get hair dye for Mateus tonight because he's Naruto." That's who he is. He's Naruto. So he's Naruto. So his hair has to be blonde. So I had to go to the other end of the city, to Party City, and get some colored spray, blonde colored spray for his hair. So I found that kind of funny in doing that. So, but it's all in the name of fun, and you just want to make this day a really special day for the kids, and make it a safe day for them too. Um, it's I feel, I know some people in the malls will be taking their kids around for trick or treat. I think that's a cop out. Take them around from door to door. And there's a place in Calgary, I don't know where it's at, but there's a place in Calgary that they've done this since the lockdown, is that they have a chute down there outside their house. They made a slide, and they're um, giving away 2-liter pops of all different types of pops, from root beer to Pepsi to Coke to Sprite to 7 Up. Their whole house is filled with 2-liter jugs of pop, and they're going to be giving that away. Could you imagine a kid getting this is my 2-liter jug of pop. Look what I got. That's going to be something they're going to be talking about when they're 60. I used to go into this one house. I didn't get a 1-liter or 500 mil. I got a 2-liter. So, so it's always nice to go to those houses that give out the big chocolate bars and the big 2-liter pops, because nobody wants a freaking coloring book on Halloween. Just saying. Don't want a coloring book. I want candy. Candy, 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 candy. Could you imagine the kids that go up and get a coloring book? Oh, thank you. Yeah. No candy? No. Oh, coloring book. Crayons. Yeah. All right. I mean I get it, but this is Halloween, man. Just get out your head and have some fun. Enjoy, you know? Um, and that's what people are going to be doing. They're going to be enjoying and dressing up and doing all that kind of stuff. So let's pull some tarot cards. How scary is that? So what do we have first? Justice. So the justice card's coming in. What do we need to balance? What are we looking at within our lives? What is up is down. Justice wants the balance and wants to, weigh out all the information before it actually makes a judgment. So the judgment comes in and wanting to make the judgment because it's talking about a happy home family. So when you get the justice card and you get the happy home family, it's like, my first thing is like, is there something that's going on with a form of maybe some legalities when it comes to that? Or is there something that people are overthinking about the celebration and they're worried about some kind of backlash about some celebration? So there could be some worrying that's going on there as well with the justice card and the celebration card. And with that, yeah. You can't have Halloween without the death card. So the death card comes in. So justice and death. So something's coming to an end. Something there is coming to an end and it's going to be justified. So what, that celebration or whatever is going on, it's going to be justified, that I justifying what I'm doing. And the death card says, yes, you're justified and it's coming to an end. So I got a small head and this is a small hat. It doesn't fit a small head. But this is where you're going to be seen. I got this more on the it could be definitely personal, with things coming to an end or something, some legalities are coming to an end that's going to justify some celebration. But that Four of Wands really has to do with some form of celebration and what that celebration is. So let's look at the question for this one. How can I connect with the people I love? So it's about hard work, stability. After everything you have been through, your priorities are crystal clear. So it's just where it's ending up. And then the death card coming in, it's like, yeah, you're crystal clear on what you want and where you're going, yet the death card is ending it, because are you truly prioritizing the treasures in your life? Are you prioritizing what is true for you in your life? Because if you're not, it's going to get taken away, right? Erica, geez, I'm like, it's okay. It's all good, girl. This is where that, especially with the death card coming in, because the death card's very strong. It's a very strong energy. It's a scorpionic energy. So it's really, when you don't have your priorities, if you feel things are coming in an unjust way, but it's upright. So the justice card is upright. So something's coming in a balanced way, right? How can I reflect on my life and take positive steps from here? Both positive steps. So we're looking at, are you taking the positive steps? If you're not, it's going to come to an end. This is where you have to really look at, are you being nitpicky and bitchy about things in your life, or are you looking at the positiveness of what is working out for you, what is coming to fruition for you? How can you transform from your view of a situation? So taking a new look at something, because death is a card that it just comes, it doesn't give a shit. Like, if it's done, it's done. You're not going to restart something. It's over. So if you're feeling like you're hanging on to something and you feel justified in it, yet you're not taking the appropriate steps in it, death card comes in. and says sorry, because death, when you get a death card and a tower card, it kind of trumps everything, right? And it really gets you to really look at, yeah, because you're going to be building up and going to a new place. So, and it's going to be emotional. It's going to be emotional. So things are going to be changing in the way that we do things, the way that we think that might be right, but and we feel we're justified in doing it, but we're going to be having to go onto a different route, and we're going to be finding a new pathway in how we maybe work within our relationships, how we do business, how, whatever that passion is that we have and working on. So there you guys go. Short and sweet today. Have a great one. Have a wonderful Halloween, everybody. I hope you all have a fabulous day. Enjoy. And if you're handing out candy, just enjoy. Oh, you know what I was going to say before? I know my music's going, but I saw a little girl dressed up as a walrus today in the mall. The cutest little thing, a walrus. She had the little tusks and everything, and she's and her mom. I looked at her. She goes, and her mom goes, she didn't want to be a princess. She wanted to be a walrus. I love it. I love it. Be a walrus today. Be whatever you wish to be. I just love it. So have a blessed one and enjoy the day. It is Halloween. Blessed be. Thank you all.